Welcome back to the newest episode of the Plobcast, and we have finally got the interview done with Skoll, who is a furry, and I also found out during the interview also was a part of the brony fandom, which, so like 2 for 1 in this situation. I do want to apologize. I did try to do like the whole mic condenser thing, and for some reason he's really quiet and I'm a little bit louder, so I do apologize if you have to turn him up and turn me down. I apologize for that. Before we get into the interview, I'm going to go ahead and do what my closing was going to be, because this interview ends up going over my regular amount of time. As I'm sure you saw, it's almost 2 hours, which in a way is like kind of makeup for not having a episode for like, I missed like 3 episodes whenever I was sick. So in a way, it makes up for it. I'm sorry. But I have some special announcements, and I don't want to make people who like can't. I'm sorry, I was recording and my son's dinosaur toy decided to go off. So I apologize if you hear dinosaur sounds in the background. But people who cannot listen to this right away, I totally understand with a 2-hour podcast, almost 2-hour podcast. That's why I want to go ahead and say this in the beginning and not make you wait till closing. So you have a couple of little special announcements. For those of you who know that I am going to be a paid panelist next month, I have special goodie bags. So yes, I will be in. So both events are on that Saturday. I will be there for the whole weekend, but both events are on Saturday. I do have like special goodie bags for people who are just going to be there, but I also have specific goodie bags for my followers specifically. So if you are going to this event, just as I did like the little gifts at with the little scrolls and stuff that I made for people at MomoCon, please either find me or find me at like 15 minutes before the panel. Feel free to come in just a few minutes early or stay a few minutes after. If you come and it's still like another panel is still going or something, it shouldn't be from the way stuff is set up, but just in case, look around the hallway. I'm probably sitting there. I also will have whenever I go to conventions, if you don't know, I have Instagram stories. I don't ever post on Instagram except for when I'm at events. So I will post on Instagram and be like, hey, this is the panel where I'm at the con. Obviously, I'm not going to be like posting my hotel location or anything. Ironically, I do post more when I go to this con because this is my home con. So it's a little bit safer. And I know a lot of people were concerned because of like the whole jackass breaking his restraining order and showing up at MomoCon. People were like, are you not going to post where you're at anymore? But I still will. Just not in that context that I did, like being like, oh, I'm going from this to there. No, I'm gonna like while inside of panels rather than pre-going to them like I did before, even though I had no problem with that for years. But you know, one of the downfalls of being a domestic violence survivor is even after you've survived, or you know, sometimes your exes are crazy and don't listen to restraining orders and do insane shit like fly to a convention in another state just to sit behind you and touch your hair without you knowing. That's weird. This is a reminder, if you ever feel like delulu about a crush or something, at least you're not doing that. Last little special announcement before we get into the interview is I am going to Halloween Horror Nights. I will announce the dates later. I am so sorry, just for those of you who have seen my crash out video. I posted my story and then I'm going to be posting it to my main. But I had a little mini episode. Not like an actual episode or anything. I'm sorry. I had a little crash out video. If you have not seen it, and I'm sorry to those who do, but I was really upset because I kept seeing all of my creator friends, and I never want to sound ungrateful for anything that I get as a creator, especially as a small creator. I am appreciative of the $50 checks they throw at me, or if I get free tickets to somewhere or something. But I was getting a little frustrated because all of my friends were getting invited to Halloween stuff and horror stuff and getting to do all this fun horror things. And while I didn't expect to get like massive amounts of money like they did, I was like, can somebody throw me, like, come on, nobody's gonna throw me like a free ticket to the local haunted house or something? All of my creator friends are like going on these giant paid trips, and I'm over here like, I just want a $20 maze ride ticket for free, please. I know, I'm sorry. I sound like such an asshole. I am so sorry. But it was just a matter of the fact that I was getting invited to Christmas stuff. I have Christmas stuff planned, and you guys saw I did a lot of summer collabs that raised a lot of money for the domestic violence shelter. But I was just like, what's going on with the Halloween? Like, why do I not look scary enough? Why am I not getting invited to Halloween stuff? I look too nice? I promise I'm not too nice. I had the fringe emo cut in middle school, man. My username used to be Goth Girl Steph when I was a kid. Come on, man. I'm scary, I promise. I have a mutual snack bandit. He does a whole thing where his daughter does like special effects makeup and stuff and goes into spirit Halloween and like scares people. I'm just like watching all of these people doing these. I'm like, maybe I need to do that. Maybe that's how I get like people to realize I'm scary too. I have awards for scariest Halloween. I've done special effects makeup like, you know, for that I learned from Robert Hattie. He was on Face Off. I've done special effects makeup in different horror stuff, like even theme parks. I'm like, what about me is not giving enough scary? And I'm going to be going to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. I will post the dates for that, and I will also bring goodie bags for that too to hand out to anybody I see, because for some reason I have a lot of people that follow me that are in Orlando. I have like 20 mutuals from Orlando too. I remember one time after a con, I was just like walking around, and this person was like, hey, Ribbon, and I'm like, my brain is not processing what's happening, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is somebody that I know online who is super sweet, super amazing. Like, they got Dutch Bros, and I like messaged them. I was like, how do I get Dutch Bros in the area? Like a secret passcode or something, you know? But yeah, I wanted to announce that I will be doing that. Also, just a reminder for anybody else who wants to do a podcast episode, please DM or email me. Also a reminder, there was one person that had messaged me, reached out, and I have not been able to find their message since. We had a whole conversation, going great, and then their message just disappeared. So if that person still wants to do an episode, please let me know. As always, I don't want to have a bunch of fancy celebrities or a bunch of big people interviewed. I want to give regular everyday people a voice to talk on here, especially because it's a lot more relatable than interviewing somebody with like 7 bajillion followers that has a very privileged life, that's not going to really be able to relate to fandom and different experiences the way an average person would. But that is where we're going to stop the intro, and I am going to go ahead and play the interview. So I will see you guys in 1.3 seconds in the interview. But do not worry, I don't have an outro. So once the interview is done, the interview is done. This podcast episode is done, because I don't want to make you guys wait through that since it is a longer podcast. Let's go. Episode, and as I already went over the intro, we're going to jump right in, and I'm going to let Skoll introduce themselves.
Hello, Skoll Wolfric, 31 years old, and I've been with the fandom for 12 years now.
You know, that's a little ironic, because I just said that I thought you were younger than me and you were older than me.
Really?
Yeah. I definitely thought you were like 25. My bad.
No, you're good. It's always good to be recognized as a little bit younger than older.
Right. Well, I mean, unless you're like a teenager trying to buy beer. That was my issue as a kid, is looking too young and being like, damn, I can't sit with the cool kids.
I used to work in a winery, or pretty much a liquor store, where regardless of the woman's age, I always carded her.
I mean, that's a nice thing to do in general. You know, it's crazy because I did end up getting a fake ID, but it was from the DMV, because I had a buddy that worked at the DMV. So that saved me, but I got carded quite a bit, which was valid. It's valid because, you know, I was definitely like 19. It's fine. It's okay. Statute of limitations, right? Like,
yes.
So, first we're going to talk about debunking some false narratives and basically crap that the furry fandom gets before we get into things, because I want everybody to have that mindset, of have an open mindset rather than some of the stuff that goes around the stereotypes. First, I will explain a little bit of how I was introduced to the furry fandom initially and what made me realize that it was what was being shown was crap. So this is going to seem off topic, but it's related to it. There's a show called Buck Wild on MTV. It was on MTV back in the day, and it is from my home state, and it's supposed to be like a reality show. That's what it was. And if you've seen it, you see it gets crazy. It's from a small town. It's from my small town. They had actually tried to recruit me and some of my friends at one point, and we luckily had, you know, parents that were like, fuck no. So we got lucky with that, but I knew several people that were in it. We also knew the recruiting process was kind of scummy. We knew there was like things that would be slightly lied about in those shows, like they exaggerated, but we didn't realize how bad it was until it came out. And, you know, we knew the people that were in it, and they're like, yeah, they lied about so much stuff, staged a lot of stuff. They over exaggerated. They made them look bad, looked like they were just crazy and super wild, because the show was Buck Wild. And like, they even down to the ages, they lied about where these people went to school with, lied about their ages and everything. It was bad. But the point was, it made me realize that those show just how made up a lot of those reality shows were, because a lot, which made me think back to the furry fandom, because my first introduction, like a lot of like older Gen Z and early millennials, was the show's True Life from MTV that did an episode on furries, and then there was an episode on TLC of My Strange Addiction on furries. And there's a lot of people who have spoke out that have been on those shows now that their NDA is out and talked about how, yeah, they paint it pretty badly. But I know a lot of people who, and I including myself, who had this set stereotype in our mind because of seeing those episodes, being in a small town. If you're not in like a big city or you're not in the fandom yourself, back then we didn't have, TikTok and Vine and all of that stuff. We had MySpace and Google, and the things you would see on Google were not exactly the best representation of the furry fandom or anything. That's like being a cosplayer. It was not the best representation for us either. That was like if you just Googled us, there's a lot of misrepresentation. It was like the worst of the fandom. Like it'd be that like 5% that was the worst of the fandom. So it made me realize that it's a lot of that stuff was fake. These were actually really nice people. It was not them doing obsessive things. It was not like they made it seem like, I know in the True Life episode they made it seem like furries were going into like public parks and shitting on the ground, like dogs. Like that was how those episodes portrayed them. And the furry that was actually in the TLC My Strange Addictions episode does have a TikTok. I do not know her TikTok, but I will look it up and put it in the bio of this episode for anybody who wants to look it up. And she's talked about her experience. So sweet and nice, and talked about how it got her a lot of hate and how they did that same thing of over exaggerating and making it look bad and staging a lot of the stuff. Um, so that's where a lot of that, I feel like that's where a lot of the stereotypes come from. Or if somebody's like met one cringy bad furry, it's just like in the gaming world. If you meet one Magic the Gathering player that's a plob, and like leave shit streaks in the chair, that can make people think, oh gosh, the whole fandom's like this. I will go ahead and let you talk about any things that you want to debunk, any stereotypes you've had to deal with in the fandom space. Well, I guess it's not technically the fandom space, it's the people outside of the fandom space that are stereotyping.
It's actually kind of weird and funny. I don't deal with a lot of the myths and debunk stuff. Like I don't know of anything that comes to my mind about it. Not sure if you know of any myths that you know of that maybe I don't.
I think
I,
I think the main myth that I see from an outside's perspective is that, like I said, like the shitting in the park and stuff, and that furries will like walk up to strangers and be and be like pretending to be animals and do insane things. Like I remember there was like a rumor at one point that like furries were going around humping people's legs, like a dog. Like there's I've seen that a lot of like the stereotypes that furries believe that they are like genuinely believe they're actual animals at all times and will do crazy stuff. That they're all like, I see, and I know this one's a big myth to debunk. And you can look up videos on this for anybody listening. Look up furries jobs at conventions, and there's like interviews that will show them that they have normal jobs, and that's a big myth that I've seen, is people being like, oh, they just live as animals 24/7 and they don't contribute to society and stuff.
oh yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, a lot of furries make up of. I'm pretty sure, as you know,
The
the
tech
IT
world,
world.
yeah.
And then I'm part of the blue collar industry, so it was interesting to find out that there are a lot of blue collar furries as well.
There's
So,
also a lot in the medical field. Oh gosh, I can't think of their name. I love them. They're hilarious. I love their little skits. Um, they're a nurse. They're a nurse, and their whole outfit is blue. And they even have like a little plushie of their fursuit. I cannot think of their name for the life. I will put it in the bio once again. Any of the usernames, because I'm so bad about usernames, I will put in the bio.
yeah, I don't know about that one. I know there's a Doctor Furry. He's pretty big on TikTok. And I was like, damn, I didn't know a heart doctor was a furry. I was
You
like, man.
So where I work in mental health research, I have to work with doctors a lot, and I've met a doctor. He was a gastroenterologist that was a furry too, and the it completely destroys the stereotype there because he didn't go around trying to hump my leg or something crazy like they the stereotype there that that furries are just animals 24/7 or that kind of stuff. And it's really a lot of people have probably met or known furries without realizing that they were a furry.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like I had people when I posted that I was helping my friend's daughter. Oh, it's Puppy in Blue. That's who it was. I remember their name because I'm ordering their plushie because it's so cute. Puppy in Blue is the nurse one that I was talking about. They're big on TikTok. But I've met I've met several people that whenever I had posted that I was helping my friend's daughter make a fursuit, who messaged me like, "Oh, I'm actually a furry. I have been for years. I just don't post about it on social media." And I was like, "Wow, I would have never guessed." Well, with
Yeah,
the oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, unlike 'cause for the furry fandom is like I want to say it's like a hobby, and it's also like I wouldn't say it's borderline lifestyle because some people do kind of get a little carried away with it. But you're more likely to come across furries than you are like members of LGBTQ, you know, because it's just gotten so popular
Unless
now
you're at
that
the Olympics. I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I went down that rabbit hole of like finding out there was like a crap ton of closeted gay men at the Olympics, and I was like, dang. Like there's so many memes on social media of people being like, "Oh, if you want to find a if you're queer and you want to find a partner, just go to the Olympics."
I'll have to I'll have to figure out how to get on the swim team then.
Right. No, it's apparently fans of the Olympics is what it is. Like there was all these gay guys who were like showing it where they would go on Grindr and be like if you went near the town that the Olympics was going on. So I guess just a lot of gay men were like are really into the Olympics for some reason. So they're just all like that was like half there. It's funny. There's so many videos. I definitely recommend looking that up because it was hilarious to watch. Um Now that we've debunked some of those myths and given people a little bit more of an open mindset, oh, I will say another one that I know caused a lot of judgment towards the furry fandom is Naya Okami, who is um, she is the woman that, and I ironically I'm actually mutuals with her now. She's the one that was like all over different things, saying that she believed that she was a wolf and things, and people took that as like, oh, that was the entire furry fandom, and they all believe that. I think that pushed that stereotype. She has changed a lot in a good way. I ended up becoming mutuals with her because I went to deep dive it because I had people submit to the plob stories. They were like, oh, you got to cover this chick because of these old interviews, and then I which she actually she works with a furry group that takes down pedophiles online. They did an interview I think on Scene. Was it Scene? I don't remember where they did the interview, but like they've done a lot of amazing work. But I feel like that's also where a lot of the stereotypes, because I've had people when they bring up the stereotypes bring up her because she did so many interviews back then. But she is amazing. She's got a lot of experience doing great things. She's changed quite a bit in a good way. I think now the main thing people judge is the autism, which I am also autistic. That is something that we see a lot in fandom space. There's a lot of neurodivergent people. Autism, ADHD. It's kind of like the army. When I was in the army, there's a lot of. That's another thing is there's a lot of furries in the army. You would be very surprised. A lot of people are. There's a lot of neurodivergent and there's a lot of furries in the army. There's a lot of kinky people in the army too. Like, I feel like there's certain categories that they're not, they're not directly corresponded, but they seem to, if there's a group that has a lot of one thing, they typically have another thing too. So now that we've debunked that, do you want to give a little bit of your background within fandom space, like how you got started?
I want to say back in 2012 or 2013, you know the Pokemon Lucario, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I created a Facebook account. His name was Lucario, and his Oracle, which is Lucario spelled backwards. Lucario Oracle. So I was like, wow, cool. clever name. You
Oh,
know.
I have a quick question because I saw the plushie and you made me feel short.
Yes.
Is that supposed to be the life-size Pokemon, or is that just a big
Yes.
plushie?
It's the life size one.
Okay.
So
That's not me
it's like
judging
one.
you. I was just thrown off because I was like, it seems so much bigger in the videos. And then I saw it standing next to you. For those listening, he has the life size Pokemon plushie that was we talked about a while back on this when it first came out. We talked on the podcast about it. But yeah, I thought it was so much bigger. And then I saw you standing next to it and I'm like, well, that's kind of rude because it made it seem like it was my height. I am extremely short for some reason because the angle, like where I bend over, because I've got a spine and a hip issue from the army, I bend over or I'm sitting in a lot of my things, and for some reason people think that I'm really tall, and I'm not.
Huh.
So when I saw that, I didn't know how tall you were, and I was like, dang, that seems really small to be life sized. And then you're like wearing platforms and over 6 foot, so
Yeah. I'm pretty tall when you throw a first seat head and some heels on.
I'm tall with heels on too, but like that's kind of cheating. Okay.
And he was also hunched up against the wall, so he probably lost a few inches.
Probably. It's fine. It was just cold in the room for him. Okay, don't judge him.
Yeah, he's camera shy. It takes him a
Exactly.
while to kind of get stiffened up.
Right? Sorry. You can get back to I just wanted to mention that because we've talked about that on the podcast before, the life size plushies, and I'm like, for comparison.
No, you're good. I can't wait for the Gardevoir to come out or order it. I don't know.
I just want a life size Eevee or
Yeah,
Vaporeon.
they've got those.
I've seen them and they just I don't like the fabric that they're made with. Because I have a friend that has it. I want a soft life size Eevee.
Yeah, but the
And
I couldn't imagine it being any different than Lucario's.
so I had a friend that got one. She spent like $500 on it, and it's not that soft. And I have texture issues, because autism. So I like it. I'm very particular. That's why I love my squishmallows. Um, but yeah, if you sorry, sorry to interrupt. Go. If we want to circle back to what you were explaining with making the account.
Yeah, so Oracle, that was my first social media like account. So I wasn't really like a furry yet, and I think at the time I was a brony at least because I do remember watching a lot of the My Little Pony before it kind of got to the crazy seasons of art style changes. So yeah, I was a brony for like the Dark Ages,
Okay,
and then
just a clarification. You were a regular brony, correct? You weren't like one of the
yes,
ones from my story times. We weren't doing things in jars, right?
no, I was just a normal brony who had a pony sona, but Lucario was my main thing before I became a brony. So it was like Lucario, Pokemon, Sona, brony, and then furry.
Oh, another I just remembered something I wanted to debunk real quick is this is just everybody's reminder that pup play and furries are two different things. There are people that participate in both, but they are two different things. Cuz I've had a lot of people, that's another thing, is people think they'll see like pup play within the kink community and think that that's what a furry is. And I'm like, no, there's a difference. And there's people that do both though, but like it's not being a furry is not inherently kinky.
No, not at all either. And it's funny that you bring up the pup community. No hate to them, but the pup community where I live, they won't let me hang out with them because I'm not a pup.
Oh, well, that's some
I'm like,
bullshit. If you ever
I'm
want
like,
an online community, I actually have a friend who is amazing, sweetest human ever. They are in the pup community. They're also kink educator and talk about that stuff. And like we've had conversations, and like I don't know if you know this. I know my listeners know this. I teach kink safety classes, and I've done professional dominatrix work for a while now. So I have like interacted with, even though I'm not a part of that community, I've interacted with, I like to watch the shows at kink events, like when Austin Kinks. I think it's really cool, like the performances they put on and everything. So I am so sorry that you have rude people in your area.
I'm
Um,
just like, I'm like, wait, so y'all can go to trivia night and karaoke night with pup hoods, but you won't let a 7-foot furry with you. Like, I feel like I'm more dog than you.
right? But yeah, I can send you his Lorcan. I'm so sorry. He's probably probably gonna listen to this and be like, "Why are you pronouncing my name wrong?" I'm sorry. But like I can send you their information. They're super sweet. Um, and also there's usually several groups in every town. Um, so some are a little bit more private, which is another thing about the furry fandom I wanted to talk about here in a minute. But some of them are a little bit more private, but super nice. So they might not have it posted like on FL or something like that. So I will send you that after the podcast. So what so I know some people will buy their first fursona, some people will build their first fursona. How did your process of fursuiting go?
So this is where it kind of gets a little dark,
Oh
very,
God.
very, very, really dark. This gets really dark. So, 2014, my mother was battling bladder cancer, and October 3rd, 2014, she passed away, and that really destroyed my life a lot because that was the main person in my life too that I went to for everything. She was like my best friend, and then I needed something to fill that hole, and I came in creation. I was talking to some furries. One of them drew me like a sketch because I had a furry. It was just a regular gray wolf. I called him Shadow, but I wanted something more.
I just want
I
to make a quick comment. If anybody ever needs art and you want it to be really good, go to the furry fandom. Because I've had like art, and it doesn't have to be a furry. A lot of people think that like it has to be a first on or something. I don't know what it is about the furry fandom, but y'all are like the best artists in the freaking world. I've gotten so many commissions of like my D&D OCs and stuff from there, or like my favorite characters. I just wanted to add that because that is like a hidden gem. Is furry artists are like a hidden gem. They are. I don't know what it is. It's like they get a fursuit and they just magically get the power to be like amazing, right? Like at art.
yes. Like it's because it's probably there's so many artists that learn from each other, and there's a big network of communities for that.
Oh yeah, I went to somebody had recommended it, and then because I was looking for somebody to draw Spinner from My Hero, and somebody was like, "Why don't you try furry arts?" And I go and look, and the page they sent me is like thousands, and they would post previews of their art. It was amazing. It really is. Sorry to interrupt. You're go ahead. Sorry, I just wanted to
No,
add that
you're
because I
good.
know a lot of people don't know that that's like a hidden gem.
You're good. It's kind of like a weird, kind of like bombshell to throw in there. But
Right?
the pretty much, I had another furry help design me a character that was more unique and more, I guess, different than just a shadow, like a regular gray wolf. I didn't want to be just a gray wolf.
I know
So
I've seen
Skoll,
videos people saying like everybody's first fursuit or fursona is like a blue dog or uh something like that. Like there's like a stereotype there. I've seen people in the furry fandom joke about where like your first one is always like a plain fox or plain wolf or something like that.
yes, and it is very true because it depends on who you watch and who you follow on social medias nowadays, because you will instinctively make a character around that person that you like, and you don't even mean to.
And that happens in other fandoms too. I will say like with D&D, a lot of people when they get first introduced, I've noticed there is like stereo depending on who they've watched, who they end up starting their first character after.
So I'm not sure what all you post, but I've sent you technically one of the first revised versions of my first reference sheet. But it would we
Okay,
went
yeah,
through a
I see
total of
it.
three redesigns.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. Oh, I like that you added a tattoo. I've never seen that before. Somebody adding a tattoo to their fursuit. That's a really interesting, a really unique way to add, like add personality to it. Sorry, couldn't think of the word.
No, yeah, because so everything about him is you know the blue, red, white, and black. White and blue are my favorite color combinations. Red and black, also another great color combination. Can't go wrong with those. Um, so Skoll is like the epitome of like being free and don't be afraid of expressing yourself because you have the freedom to do so. And his tattoo um, is to symbolize balancing out everything. You don't want to be too much. You don't want to be out of control with it either. So you have to learn how to balance and control your freedom. So that's why that tattoo is
That's nice. Um, whew, sorry, I've got heartburn. Worst timing.
there.
So, how many did you? So, did you make yours yourself?
Uh, I I bought a fursuit. I worked two jobs
So, I
starting
was
out.
I wasn't trying to judge. I was just asking because I know some people make them themselves. Some people commission them.
No, but I didn't make it. But this is kind of like weird timing with everything. So 2015, I think that's when Fallout 4 released,
Oh
and
God.
so that's how I remember my fursuit's
No,
age.
you're
Uh,
good. I I like the Fallout. So you know the game that came out that was related to West Virginia. That shit still haunts me. I was working at GameStop when they came out with that one, and being originally from West Virginia, I had people who were trying to go to Camden Park, but here's the thing: is Fallout's like Camden Park falling apart is actually kind of accurate to how it currently is. You have to sign a waiver when you go to make sure you're not going to die. I remember being in fifth grade and they took us, and we watched a kid get thrown off a ride, like. But I had so many people who were like, "Oh, West Virginia looks so cool." No, 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 no! Please don't go there. West Virginia is also not the safest if you are queer or a person of color. My hometown, like I'm a paid panelist for an event that's going on in a couple of weeks there, and even like if I was not somebody that normally goes there, is like from there and knows the area and stuff, I always tell people, like there was a mutual of mine last year, or it was the year before. She was going to con, and she was her first time in West Virginia, and she was like, "Oh, I'm going to this con too," and she's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna sit at the Greyhound bus stop for a while." I'm like, "Sweetheart, you have no, no." I was like, "Girl, I'm gonna come pick you up. I know I am a stranger on the internet, but it's a lot safer for me to pick you up and take you to the con than you be sitting there for a few hours." We had Klansmen, to put it simply, we had actual Klansmen march in their outfits and everything, down the boulevard, right in front of the police station. That's yeah. There's some really nice people in West Virginia, but there's also it's not the greatest. Not the greatest at all for like openness or safety. So it looks pretty. The mountains are pretty. But watch Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. That's not the only family like that. The whole inbreeding thing is very real. I have an ex who ironically is a furry now, who's married to their biological cousin. So I just want a disclaimer for anybody who's about to be like, "Bitch, what did you just say?" He was not like that. He was not into his cousin when we were together. I didn't know we were teenagers. It's the one that everybody gives me crap because he wore a rainbow furry tail, and the vlogs we did as teenagers that I can't get down because I don't nobody has to log in for those, and they're just permanently on YouTube, and it's really embarrassing. But
Hmm.
yeah, don't Fallout opened up the West Virginia thing, and it was a disaster. That's why I was laughing when you mentioned Fallout because that is my experience with Fallout.
Uh, yeah, because okay, so this fursuit company who made my fursuit, it's 2015. It's almost 10 years old now. Right? It's crazy. My suit's almost as old as these kids now.
Right.
I'm like, damn, I am getting old. My damn suit's starting to be a teenager.
I graduated high school at 15, so I feel older than I am. And like, I'll talk about, like, oh yeah, I graduated 15 years ago. And people will look at me, like, especially because my neighbor's daughter, the one that I make helping with the fursuit, she is 15. And I'm like, wow, I graduated high school when you were being born.
Yeah, and it sucks because that maker who's made his suit, they filed for bankruptcy earlier this year.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
So,
there's a whole beware and everything on that.
oh gosh. Is that,
Right.
I've, so I will say I've seen, there was a fursuit maker, like when I was looking around for just tips to help her make her outfit, which we've been doing. Um, like I said, we got the foam head and stuff made, and we just have to attach the fur, and then we'll start on the body. But there was one that I saw that was like, I was like, oh, they're really cute. Like their suits are really nice. You should order. I told her I was like, when you, because she wants to save up and have a second suit too, like professionally made. And then I fell down the learning about them, and I was like, oh, never mind, never mind. Maybe we don't
Yeah,
interact with this person. My
that's
bad.
when you thought.
I was like, they're so cutesy and stuff. They're so adorable. No, no. And it's a lot of work. I will say it takes a lot of talent and work. I have almost 20 years experience with crafting and sewing. I was in the news at one point. I have well, I've never updated it, but I had an LLC at one point because I've done sewing and stuff on the side, and it really threw me for a loop. Like learning, helping learn how to craft this. It is a lot of work.
Yeah, it's definitely labor intensive and time consuming process if you're starting out.
I will say I
But
was
that's
really lucky that I already had professional tools, like the heat gun, already having the professional grade glue gun, that kind of stuff, because it takes a lot of tools too. It's not for anybody who's done sewing but hasn't done crafting. It's not just like making a regular sew together suit or something.
because it's I mean once you learn, it's I would like to think that it's just like any other hobby and skill. Like once you
Yeah,
learn how to
once
go
you pick
about the
it up,
process.
I feel like that's a lot. How a lot of stuff works is it's hard to learn at first, but once you get it, like laying down the fur and stuff, once I finally got it right, like got the first patch right, I like it became a lot easier. And I tell you, those people who create suits make bank. I'm sitting here like, why the hell did I get my master's degree? I could have just done this. Like,
I'm telling you, like 10 years ago, my first suit was $1,400 from this company, and now, like my second suit that I picked up earlier this year, it was $3,000. I'm like, oh my god, what
I
happened to the
saw one,
prices?
I saw one person spent like $14,000, and I'm like, once again, why did I get my master's degree? Why am I working in mental health? I should just be making freaking fursuits. Like, Lord.
I didn't get blessed with the other side of autism. I didn't get the that skill trait.
I got blessed with I can pick up just about any skill. I get called Sheldon Cooper a lot because I am high IQ autistic, but I can't pick up social cues to save my life. I have two separate exes who thought we were in a relationship way longer than we were. I just thought we were buddies because I didn't understand. I
Oh,
did not understand. So I legit, I get some people make jokes about it. There's a relationship that I apparently had, didn't even know about it for 6 months because we went to the movies every single week. And I was like, yeah, we go to the movies every single week. We're buddies, right? And like we take turns paying for it. So it's no big deal. And then like later on, a couple years later, we're like in a party. This is when I was a teenager. We were at a party and he's like, oh yeah, me and Ribbon used to date. And I'm like, oh. And I thought he wanted me to wingman him. So I thought that's what that was. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm going along with that. I was like, oh yeah, he's like amazing in bed and stuff. Like I'm just making up shit. And he pulls me aside later. He's like, why the hell did you say that? We never had sex. And I'm like, we also were never in a relationship. I thought you were just trying to get me to wingman you. He was like, we dated for like 6 months. I'm like, we did? He's like, we went to the movies every week. And I'm like, yeah, but I go to the movies with my friends. Like,
Yeah, I thought it
I
was kind of weird though that you had a hole in your bucket of popcorn, but my friends didn't. I
right?
thought that
Like,
was kind of weird, you
this is
know.
just a normal interaction. It's just Jason being a weirdo. Like,
I'm pretty sure all the guys do this, you know.
right?
Put holes in popcorn bucket, you know.
Right? This is a normal interaction. That and sarcasm. I had somebody, and I've told the story on TikTok. A lot of people remember this because it involves a very problematic cosplayer who's done a lot of really bad stuff on video and stuff. One of his fans. I was at a convention where he was at, and one of his fans had made some really rude remarks to me, and I did not know that they were being rude, and my best friend did, and she like pulls me away because I was being nice to them because I was like, oh. So what it was is this was at a convention that had, after a certain time, it was 18 plus. So it was like regular during the day, 18 plus a day. So I had a sign where I was stepping on people for free. This is everybody who's listening a reminder. Do not charge for that shit because you will get arrested for solicitation. That is a real thing. There are cosplayers who've learned this far play. But it was just like a Christmas thing. I was joking. I was like, oh, if you're on the naughty list, I'll step on you. And I had this girl come up, and she was a fan of his. It was a whole thing. Came up and was like, oh, can you not do that? Or is there somewhere else? Or like was being rude to me about my like cosplay and me doing that. And I had no idea. I legitimately had no idea. I thought she was just asking me questions. And I was like, oh, I can do this instead. And my best friend Katie is looking at me like, bitch, do you not understand? So she pulls me away, and then it dawns on me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she was being sarcastic. She was being an asshole. Like, I am so oblivious with stuff like that.
Oh,
Like, this girl is straight up insulting me, and I'm just like, oh, how's your day? Like,
oh, I love your shoes.
right?
Like, what?
Oh my gosh. Um, if you want to continue, sorry. I got distracted by that. Yeah, the autism, the social cues. I feel like it's a called a spectrum for a reason. We all have different flavors,
Yeah, some have more flavors than others.
right?
Um, so yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. My first two, that was the process. The 2014 to 2015, I joined the fandom and then got a fursuit like within a year time frame.
Oh, okay. The next thing I wanted to ask about was, and I mentioned this earlier, the safety. So I know a lot of people who are on social media that do the furry fandom and they don't show their face. What, in your experience, how do people handle safety in that scenario? Because you want privacy. Obviously, there's people who want privacy. They don't want to have to worry about those stereotypes or being judged. Um, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you're being safe and know who the heck you're meeting up with, if that makes sense. Like if you're going to meet up at a con or something.
Yes, so I'm pretty sure you've heard this phrase multiple times within the furry fandom. They call it breaking the magic. So a lot of people don't like furries showing skin, their face, because it breaks the magic and the illusion of, this
I
fantasy
can't,
world
yeah,
that
I can't remember. There's a word for that. There's a word for that. I saw it because apparently there was a con that banned it from their marches. I can't think of the dang word
yeah,
for it.
I know which con you're talking about too. Looking at you.
It was like in Pennsylvania, and they were doing a march, and they banned, and it was like the word. It was the word for if you have just like the head on and not the full suit.
Partial.
No, no, it wasn't
Poodling is
poodling.
um
Poodling. That's what it was.
yes. So just like a French poodle, a hairless dog. You have fursuits like that, and that kind of I guess the topic. Poodling. I'm I don't like it when people say that you can't do something because you're a partial fursuiter. For one, I live in the South. It's
Same.
hot as balls,
That
and
was my concern, is because I saw the poodling stuff, and I kept thinking, I'm like, that's dangerous. Even if you're not in the South, just wearing a suit all day, it's just like wearing like a mascot costume all day. It's not safe to sit there, and you can get overheated, you can have a heat stroke. Like, It can be a
Yeah.
lot if you're neurodivergent, you get, texture issues or something. I mean, I live in Texas, so like it's hot here.
Yeah.
So that was my concern is I'm like, why is this so people are like so anti this even though it's a safety thing. It really is. Like
So
that can get you can get sick.
just like a lot of main communities, like you get so the furry fandom is just a general kind of like broadband community, like the trading card communities. Magic players aren't going to be Pokemon players. They're not going to be Yu-Gi-Oh players. Majority of the times they might play all three.
I was about
But
to say I play Magic the Gathering and I am a Seto Kaiba sim, thank you. I'm sorry.
yeah, hey, I get that. And then so I feel like there are furries out there who feel like they are the elite class and feel like they're the most entitled ones because they have a full suit and not just like a normal like 4,000, $6,000 fur suit. I'm talking about like 20,000s.
Jesus.
And I feel like they're the ones that are putting the stipulation and things of that nature against poodling fursuiters. It's because poop, you know, maybe they're I'm pretty sure racism is in the fandom, so they don't want to know what
Oh
class
yeah,
is gender.
there's that one guy I am fully aware of. He looks like a is he like a chipmunk or a squirrel or something? And he's apparently a Nazi, like an actual
Oh
Nazi.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You can't poodle at this convention in the parade, but we'll let a new Nazi
Yes,
in.
yes, that one. And apparently he's like friends with the organizer or something. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
wow, because that's
So
I
it's
was
just
learning
like
about that because she wants to go to a con eventually, and I was like, I will be your handler for it because I've gone to so many cons. Like I've never been to a fur con, but like I have experience, especially with her being a minor. But like I saw that and I was like, whoop, well, we're not going to that one.
yeah. So it was kind of like a giant middle finger to everybody who's not a full suitor. It's just like, wow, okay, we see how it is. Like, and I honestly thought about going to that con parade just to start up a protest along the parade route,
I
just to just to really kind of be like, yeah, y'all suck.
I heard there was like videos, and I would hear people in the background making comments too. Like I could, whenever they were doing it, I could hear people making comments like about how messed up it was, and I was like, oh wow, like at least. And I think that also pushes some of the stereotypes that furries get is when you have somebody like that who. So when I worked as a waitress many years ago, I had a boss who said a phrase that really applies to a lot of stuff, and he said, for every one bad review you get, you need at least 10 good reviews to combat it. Because whenever you go to a restaurant, if it's good, you're not going to go rush and tell your entire friend group that it's good. But if you have a bad experience, people nowadays, I mean, they are rushing to be like, hey, don't go here. Here, make post about it. Like, and I feel like that's an experience that we see a lot online is people are rushing to say, hey, beware of this person, oh, they're a bad person, this is blah, blah, blah that happened. But people aren't posting every single tiny good interaction they had. So if somebody's not in the fandom space and they just see it, they're more likely to see the drama video than, the hundreds of positive ones, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because like if I go to McDonald's 6 days a week and I've had a good experience every time, I'm not gonna write a review 6 times. If I
Exactly.
have on my seventh day, if I have a flat Coke, oh, you bet your ass, I'm gonna go online and say, don't ever come to McDonald's ever again. The freaking Coke sucks. The cheese is cold, and shit like that. It's just so normal nowadays for people to normalize.
It really is. It really is. There's so, and it's like that in cosplay fandom too. That is one of the other questions I wanted to ask related to space because you were talking about like kind of the elitism. Because we deal with that in the cosplay community too. Especially since 2020, and it's recovered some since 2020, but also there's a crap ton of people who've left fandom because it got people were getting vicious. They were getting vicious. They would, for example, I had a job that I had posted. It was ad work in cosplay, and I call it walker work because you're a walking advertisement. Whether you're working at a booth or like at a stand or whatever, you're a walking advertisement. And there were people who would get during 20 got competitive, and they would try to like basically take out the competition by slander and by drama and stuff like that. And that started because of elitism. There was a very, very popular creator who was a cosplayer, very talented, but had lost an audition, and this person was traditionally attractive, had lost an audition to somebody who had a very tiny following, was not traditionally attractive, but had a great personality and was really good at, playing the character. And it's competitive. Like that's kind of the 2020 core. You see, like, sometimes you'll see things on TikTok where it's like 2020 Discord had all these crazy things, and a lot of fandom spaces felt that shift during 2020. There was a lot of shift. There was a lot of people who were traditionally the people who would have made fun of the nerds entering the fandom and then acting like elitists because they looked a certain way. Maybe they're traditionally attractive or they were more popular or whatever the case may be. And we kind of got that like mean girl Regina George crowd, both in gaming space and within cosplay space, anime space. I was curious if that happened within. So you already talked about having elitists, but did it get worse during 2020? Did the pandemic affect the furry fandom at all?
Um, I kind of from 2020 to 2023, I kind of was in the dark age of everything because that was when I started up my business after my dad died of bladder cancer. I started selling trading cards,
Lord,
Pokemon
I
cards.
need you to make sure you stop drinking all those damn Red Bulls. That is genetic. So if it makes you feel better, I am also a hypocrite. My dad passed, and I do the same shit that gave him a heart attack. So like,
So they smoke. That was the reason why they got cancer. I don't smoke. I might
okay.
have other issues going on, but
I was gonna say,
as
yeah,
far as I know,
but genetic wise, you can still get if you're at higher risk, if that makes sense. You are
well, this one was so the bladder cancer is caused your bladder has a funnel in it to relieve itself.
yes, your
So
urethra.
when you start smoking and you start introducing tobacco products, nicotine into your blood system, that funnel starts to swell. So then you'll start having your bladder not empty out fully, and that swelling area will start to decay faster, fester, and then it becomes a cancer, and that's how they got it.
And that's another thing
Um,
is people think it's weird that I'm always reminding people to go pee, but that's another thing is you can back up your kidneys and end up with kidney issues from similar issues from not being you're not if you're not released. So if your urethra is inflamed, like we were talking about with the bladder cancer, that's something you definitely need to go get checked out. But also, some people will just not go as often and stuff. So this everybody's reminder to go pee. Don't be on some R. Kelly shit. If you are, I don't need to know that. That's your business as long as it's consenting adults, as I always say. As long as it's consenting adults, safe, sane, consensual. I'm not judging, but reminder for everybody to go pee because that's especially it's ironic working in the medical field. A lot of us are fucking hypocrites because you get in a position where you can't. Like when I worked in the ER, sometimes we couldn't for like 10 hours. Like it was very common to get bladder issues and stuff from
well,
that.
it's funny because what's that meme like? Did you wash your ass today? And you just need to make a meme that says, "Did you pee today?"
There's a girl on TikTok who she actually got something from holding in her bladder. She constantly held it around. She ended up getting kidney issues. She did get a kidney transplant recently, but she was known as like the dying pee girl for a while there because she would make videos every day being like, go pee, like, go pee, constantly to warn people because that really does. It's a lot of people think it's something small, but it really can cause cancer. It can cause kidney failure. There's a lot safety issue wise there. Also, make sure you pee after sex. Like that's a big thing because you can get bacteria in your urethra even if you guys both have showered or all of you have showered if you're having an allergy. I don't know, it's your business. But bacteria can get in your urethra, make it inflamed and can cause issues. So that's why they always tell you to pee after sex. Some of y'all are peeing during sex. That's your business. But like, please just make sure you're being safe. I don't really know how that works. If that's like, If you're doing it during sex, if that's also like a problem, I don't know. That's somebody that's for a doctor. You're gonna have to ask your urologist on that. But like, I just know you're supposed to go after. Because we used to have a lot of like in the ER, we'd have a lot of people from the college who would come in with UTIs and stuff because they were not doing that and they were getting bacteria. Well, this just became a PSA about cancer and peeing. So
No, right?
let's get back on track. So you weren't around in the 2020 time frame to know if there was a shift.
No, but just giving away, just kind of like looking how social media has grown so fast, and how everybody pretty much has a cell phone nowadays. I would say that 2020 would probably be in a big boom for everybody between the economy getting stimulus money, and then everybody's making a social media app like TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, X, you name it. All these social media platforms start becoming real big because people can't leave their homes.
Yeah. See, that's where we had the problem. Is it was a mixture for like the side of fandom I'm in with like cosplay and anime and gaming. It was this mixture because we had people who were now getting into it that typically weren't because it was something they could do at home. And it was we got all that like Regina George, Mean Girl, like people getting nasty, which is why there's a lot of people who've left fandom space online but still participate in the hobby. Nasty, rudeness, just kind of like that elitism, like I'm better than you because I was popular in high school and traditionally attractive and all that stuff. But we also got some good from it because by making fandom space more popular, because it's ironic. Being more popular. It should have been like less bullying, but it actually made it more. But it did make it so that things were more accessible. So it used to be, and I still have this problem sometimes because I'm like the weirdo that picks a random ass fucking character from a show and be like, I really like this character. They're like, they have 10 minutes of screen time, but that's who I like, right? Um, but it made it so things were more accessible, like merch and finding custom things. Pop figures. Pop figures started getting more and more characters in the anime fandom. Things like that. It did help some, if that makes sense. It made things more accessible. Oh, hello. I think you're muted. Yeah, definitely muted. Ring ring. Hello.
Okay. Hello.
You're good. You're good. I was like, I
I
think
had,
you're muted.
sorry, I had to take that pee break we were talking about.
Oh God.
I'm gonna go take a pee.
See, see, I'm helping you not get a UTI. You're welcome.
Yeah, I've only been a dry spell for like a month or a year.
Wait,
So I guess
wait, hold on. Those are two very different things. You went from a month to a year.
no, I don't have to worry about the UTI. I haven't had it in a year, so
Oh my gosh. I thought you were saying you hadn't peed him. I was like, wait a minute. How did you not pee for a month? Like, what? And then I realized you meant something else. I'm sorry. My brain glitched for a second. I was sitting there like, what the fuck do you mean you haven't peed in a year? Like, sorry, what?
oh, and I guess that was a myth. We don't use litter boxes.
Uh,
God forbid.
You know what's really sad about the litter box stuff is a lot of the reason that was spread was there were schools who were putting bags of litter with big buckets in classrooms in case of an emergency. So, like, if there was a school shooting or something, students had somewhere to go, right? And
Yeah,
people spread this stupid thing. Like, there's even news interviews of teachers explaining this and teachers trying to explain, no, we don't have litter boxes for people that think they're an animal. We have these for emergencies. So if a student has to go, they don't have to pee themselves. So if they're trapped in the classroom or whatever the case may be. And so many people spread it as like, oh, it's because of the furries. The furries are putting litter boxes and shitting in the classroom.
I kid you not. There is a photo of me and my ex at a convention, and social media, like news networks, have used this photo, saying that North Carolina schools are banning bathrooms like furries,
What?
furries from boxes or some shit. I was like, what the fuck? How did I end up on the news without
I
even knowing?
I've noticed there's a lot of like if they cover something with furries, I've noticed there's because when I was like deep diving the fandom space and stuff for her, there was so many people who they're like, yeah, so my picture got used for this, my persona got used for that. Like, there's one in particular I know I've seen like in 1,000 freaking ads. It's like blue and white. Um, he's a full suitor. He's like a wolf or something. I can't remember, but he's like everywhere. Like if you are like looking at a video that's gonna be like deep diving furries and it's not got anybody in particular, he's gonna be the fucking thumbnail. That dude's gonna be the thumbnail. Oh my gosh, you just sent me the picture. Yeah. Wait a damn minute. How tall is your ex? Because it looks taller than you and you're already. I'm sorry. I was just like,
So
wait a damn.
out of suit, we're 5'9".
Okay. Okay. Because I thought you were like regularly 6 foot before the suit. And I'm like, why is everyone taller than me?
No.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it threw me off because he looks taller than you. Or they look tall. I don't know. I'm sorry. I should have asked that first. They look taller than you. And it threw me off. Because I was like, damn, how tall are all of you motherfuckers? Like, everyone is bigger than me. I am under 5'2", so.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that Lucario plushie would probably come up to your chin.
See, and now everybody knows it's not that small. It was just cold in the room that day. It's fine. Don't judge Lucario.
Cold and the camera angle's like kind of like
Mm-hmm.
looking down at him.
Oh, so the next thing on the list I want to ask is any mistakes you see beginners take that you would suggest against? Like things that beginner mistakes, like people enter fandom space and it's like a common mistake that they make. Like everybody has the common ones. Um, what within the furry fandom for people who are getting into it is a mistake that you see people make a lot that could save them a lot of trouble to not make?
So this is kind of my personal experience so far. A lot of furries are too trusting, and that is where a lot of companies and a lot of scammers take advantage of people. Um, so I'm not a big advocate on uh I'm a big advocate for mental health. It's just that if you are going through something, you don't need to be telling complete strangers like furries or anybody in general like what you're going through. Like I get talking to people to try to get help, but
Don't
I've had this
trauma
with
dump. Trauma
yeah,
dumping on
I've had
strangers. Yeah, we get that a lot in the
that
cosplay and gaming space too.
so that I would say kind of that would be my mistake or is just kind of keep to yourself like don't open up so easily to a lot of people just because they are part of the furry fandom because a lot of people they're kind of rude. They're really rude. It depends. Um, and then another one is commissioning art in fursuits. Um, I highly recommend you do researching, find somebody like social media influencers who have a regular following. If they're posting art, like I post art a lot of times with an artist, and those are my credibility artists. I will never commission somebody who comes to me first 98% of the times. Um, just kind of know who you're commissioning first. So you need to ask questions like, who are you, where you're at, or something like that. But I mean, yeah, it might only be like a $20-$50 art piece.
Ask for.
Sorry.
Oh, no, I'm listening. I'm sorry. I had to check because I have to order a new adapter because the wrong one came. Um, whenever I ordered art from the furry fan, I made sure I like went through people's portfolios, made sure they had records, and I know that it's kind of like a sucky thing because when you're first starting out, you have to like build up rapport in the first place. So it can kind of suck that you're not giving. It's hard for like newer artists, right, to get that rapport. But also, it's important to be safe and make sure there is like rapport there.
Yeah. So back in 2014, within 7 days of joining the furry fandom, one of the art pieces that I was originally using for my reference sheet, it was traced by another artist who gave it to me, right? So this artist traced this image and gave me the traced image. I ended up getting a beware on me for using stolen art, and that put a very sour taste in my mouth of the furry fandom. It's because I trusted somebody who was an artist who was just helping me out, and then the furry fandom backlashed immediately within a month of my mom dying. So I was just like, damn, like accepting my ass. Like we sure are accepting. You give me hell for not knowing that this image was traced. So just be careful who you trust when you first start into the fandom. That would be the biggest mistake people do. Is just they're just too trusting.
And I've seen that a lot within multiple fandom spaces. Sadly, I've seen people. It's and that kind of goes back to the 2020 thing. So previously, it was very small. With it wasn't very small. I mean, there's still, and that's one thing I also warn people about. With bullying within fandom spaces, if anybody tells you that fandom space is small, run. That is a bullying technique. It's people will say that to like try to make you feel insecure or like, oh, if I don't fit with this group, then I'm not going to be able to ever get with a group. When realistically, like for example, cosplayers, if you just look up the statistics for cons, there's couple million that just, and that's just the ones that go to cons. That doesn't include the other half of the fandom that doesn't go. So like, it's not small, but there are people who, it's a bullying technique. It's to make you feel like, oh, it's so small. So like, if you don't make it here, you can't go anywhere else. Give up on the fandom space. Um, Now I lost my train of thought there. I was gonna say, oh yeah, so there are people who will, because they grew up in like a smaller town where it has just a few locals, they'll think it is as friendly as it is in their local town as it is online. And that's when you open up that much larger fandom space, it's a lot different. And that's where a lot of people will get too trusting if they grew up where there wasn't a lot of local people into it and then go online and it's a whole nother, or go to like a convention or a big town and they get very much too trusting. um, we have a problem within the cosplay community, speaking of trusting, with hotels. Like if you go into a cons Discord, or you go on their Facebook page or something, you'll see people will be rooming with strangers. Please never do
Yeah,
that. Like
the,
that is so scary. Did you say you're guilty of that?
yeah,
Oh
I'm
my
guilty
god.
of that one.
Well, I'm glad you're still alive. Because it's really scary to think about. Like, you don't know this person, and they're like, oh, I have a spot in my room, and you just go there. I've also told a few con horror stories, not just my own, but ones that people have sent into me about rooming with strangers. And like there was one where this person like roomed with a stranger, and it was a couple, and they were getting it on next to them because they thought they were asleep. That's another thing. Please don't. Just a random PSA related to every single person. Please don't fuck next to somebody who's asleep without consent. Like, I shouldn't have to say that, but like, yeah, I had somebody share a story. They had picked a random roommate off of a cons Discord because they wanted a cheap room. They stay with them. They had gotten in this king size bed. Went to sleep and woke up to the couple beside them just butterball naked doing it next to their body. Yeah, so there's the cringe factor, there's the trauma factor, there's the safety factor.
Yeah, that's not a I wouldn't say strange thing in the fandom. The our I would definitely say a lot of people just risk the cheap hotel rooms because I'm not sure how convention rooms are, but furry hotels, we run out of con space so fast for hotels.
So it's
Uh,
kind of like that too with con space. There are people who will literally book the convention, center like the day it opens several months earlier. They always have like cons the big cons have several months earlier. But at the same time, one of my like hacks is even if I'm getting paid, like if I'm doing paid panel work or I'm doing paid booth work or walker work, whatever you want to call it, I will get like an allotment for my travel and I will not stay on center because it's usually cheaper to not stay on there and you save a shit ton of money. And I'm like, oh, then I can use that money for stuff in the merch room. At this, I've always joked, I'm like, at this point, anytime I get paid to go to a con for whatever reason, they should probably just give me like a voucher for the artist alley for my paycheck because that's exactly where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
Like, that's
You don't have to
exactly
worry
where it's
about
gonna go,
processing.
right? Like just give me a voucher for the artist room or the merch room. It'll be fine. Vendors Hall. But yeah, the staying on is why a lot of people split it because the staying on location, if you like when I go to like MomoCon or something, I literally stay 5 minutes down the road in an Airbnb and I get an entire house for it's this little house that I in a nice quiet neighborhood for half the price of the hotel that like one hotel room on there because that's another thing is they for some reason at least in the cosplay space and the gaming space also in the card game space my ex is a semi-pro Magic Gathering player so we've gone to those before they are like super expensive for some reason they're like oh there's a con going on let's like jack the fuck up the prices.
Yeah. It, and it's funny because there are just like how Pokemon are, right now Pokemon's hot, so scalping is very real in the fandom.
Oh god.
The scalping is super real in the furry fandom.
Oh gosh.
Like,
Scalping in the Pokemon world. I have a viral video. I think this is before we were mutual, so you might not have seen it. I was assaulted in a Costco by a man who was a scalper over Pokemon cards. We had to like get the cop involved in everything. So I'm fully aware of scalping. The man laid his hands
so
on me over these damn cards, and I just wanted, like, me and a couple other moms just wanted some packs for our kids. We were like, oh, we just want Pokemon cats for our kids. Because life tip, if you get your kids into something like Pokemon, then they'll never be able to afford drugs.
yeah. See, I was when I was looking for a room for a con in Georgia. I found a furry who was like, "Yeah, it'll be $300 a night," and I'm like, "Okay, how many people are there?" Like, "Oh, it's 6 people." I'm like, 6 people in the fucking hotel room, and we're being charged $300 a night. Yeah, fuck off with that shit. I am not paying for you to go to cons year round if you're making me pay $300 a night, and I'm asleep on the fucking floor. That ain't fucking how that's gonna work.
Right? That's why I said, like,
And
check Airbnbs, check other ones in the area. It is so much better. Like, and it's a huge drastic dip. Like I said, we rent this. It's a little 2 bedroom house in Atlanta for MomoCon. 5 minutes from the con. It's in a nice quiet neighborhood, and driving or Ubering way cheaper than what we would spend even just staying on, like at the actual convention center. The hotel's connected to it.
yeah, I can believe that because but it's just like I don't know. Furry furries are a weird breed of cosplayers. I mean, because that's all we really are is cosplaying in a sense.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people need to have access to the rooms, so they kind of have no choice but to stay on hotel grounds, which sucks.
So what I like that a lot of larger cons are starting to do that kind of combats this issue is locker rentals. So like when I go to cons, if there's a locker rental, that is a big thing. That will make it so a lot of them, I don't know if this is a furry cons too, but at ours they will have locker rentals. They will also have safe, quiet spaces so that like if it's just a thing of you need a break, you can do that. Or it takes like a 5 minutes to Uber back to your hotel or wherever, depending on where you're staying. Sometimes it's quicker to Uber back to the hotel than it is to walk to the one on site, depending on where you're at. For like example, MomoCon's massive, but also locker rentals. I've also noticed a lot of people don't even notice that there's locker rentals at the cons, and that can help so you don't have to go back and forth. But I don't know if that's at furry conventions too.
So I know we have headless lounge, and not really too sure if we have lockers. I'm pretty sure they do in the bigger cons. But I think the lockers, if you can get people to, because fursuit theft is a real thing.
Oh,
Um,
we had a plob story. This was months ago. We had somebody within the furry fandom submit their plob story, and they had someone who stole their head and ejaculated into it, and they got it back after they stole that. So I can definitely see why people don't want to leave their fursuits just anywhere. Not just for theft, but also disgustingness. Like,
yeah,
why would you do that?
yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about too. I think I saw that on social one day.
Yeah, it sadly is a apparently a thing that happens. Oh, speaking of horror stories within the fandom space, is there so we talked about like the head and not trusting people. Is there safety tips for going to, I mean, obviously, please wash your ass. Um it's the same thing as a cosplay. Please wash your ass at cons. Do fur cons have the same rules like cosplay conventions do, where you have to, they have like hygiene rules?
I want to say no. It's kind of like it's like a hidden rule that I mean that you need to wash your ass.
Right.
But I want to say no. I want to say there's no like enforced hygiene rules.
Oh
I've
no.
only been to like one furry con, and that was like last year. So
Okay. That's,
so I want to say no because I didn't see any.
oh Lord. Um was your, well, I think the other thing is it might be so ironically, a fursuit is obviously going to make you sweat more, but it might be a protectant in a way. Like if you have a fursuit head on, you might be less likely to smell other people. So maybe it's like a
Yeah,
protectant.
and I guess I mean I've definitely come across some people who I'm like, God damn, y'all stink, but I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna go try something else.
I've also
Uh,
I've seen the videos, and I think this is another place where the stereotype comes in of like the diaper furries, of like the ones that will wear diapers in their fursuits and shit their pants. Um,
oh,
please don't, nobody do this. I think that's another reason why like some of the stereotyping comes in is because I've seen people. There's a lot of viral videos of that, of like people, grown adults in diapers shitting their pants so they don't have to get out of their fursuit. Please don't do that. Please nobody
yeah,
do this. Like it is, I feel like it's a lot better to get out of it. And don't get me wrong, I get the struggle because I've got cosplays that have like 50 freaking like things that I have to take off, and I basically have to be butt naked to pee at the con. To like take everything off, especially if I'm on like Diva or something, or another one that's like a bunny suit or a full suit. Um, but please don't be having diapers. Just advice for anybody who's listening out there: please don't shit your pants on purpose. Like if you have a
yeah,
medical condition, that's different. But like the people just choosing to do that, let's not.
yeah. Because like some people don't have that luxury of that, like medical conditions and certain stuff. Like those people, you get the good pass. You get a good pass, but like the kinky ones that are into that, and like you don't get a pass. Like somebody's medical condition is not your kink. I think that's just wrong entirely.
Yes. Speaking of the kinky stuff, um, what is your advice on, oh gosh, how do I word this? um, it's navigating the fursuit community while avoiding mersuiters if you want to avoid mersuiters. And for those of you who are listening who don't know what a mersuiter is, those are the ones that have coitus in their fursuits. Which is what, that's another stereotype that a lot of furries face, is that like they're all just fucking in their fursuits, and that is not the case. It even has a name for it for the people that do. Um, but finding navigating the space, because I know there's a lot of people who want to add like buttons to the bottoms of theirs or something to for bathroom tricks and like making things easier. But then there's the stereotype that if they have that, that they must be a part of that mersuiting community.
Yeah. So this is kind of where social media kind of plays a big part. Unless you are following somebody on every single platform that they are on, you generally won't know if somebody's a mersuiter. Like there are some furries that you will know that are just by looking at them because they're kind of popular that way. I know a few furries like that where they've got like 50,000 followers on X. They're like number one on OnlyFans, so it's like you're definitely if you see them out in the wild, then yeah, you know they're a mersuiter. Um, average fox, you know, you generally won't know if somebody's a mersuiter just by looking at them. Like, I mean, if that's, I guess if you're concerned about mersuiters, you'd have to do research on cons, conventions that have a hotel attached to the convention center. You're gonna run across a lot of mersuiters because
You
that's
guys
kind of
have hotel parties too?
yeah, we have
Yeah.
a yeah,
That's that's
we
apparently
do
fandom
a
wide.
fan.
If somebody's inviting you to a hotel party, be very careful because yeah, we have that in the cosplay community too, where it's just they'll be like, oh, it's a hotel party, and like if you're not familiar with fandom space or you're still new and you're like, oh, a hotel party is like people sitting around and drinking and playing cards against humanity. No, 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 no. They are interacting things that are on Cards Humanity cards. That's what they're doing.
See, I try to be very subtle, but also kind of stay fashionable. There is a reason why I am decked out in all my videos, and anytime you see me fursuiting, I'm wearing Playboy shit for a reason.
See, and that's one of the reason why I ask is you have like things that you can spot on yours, if that makes sense,
Yeah,
like the Playboy and
yeah,
stuff. Um, that's another thing is please don't walk up and rub random people's bellies because that is a fetish for some people. That is a thing that I saw within furry fan of space. I was searching. There's a lot of civilians who'll be like, "Oh, they're dressed up as a dog. Let me like mock them by rubbing their stomach." And it's like, one, you shouldn't be touching people without consent, but also you might
you
be
like rubbing
play.
my balls.
Yeah, you might be doing a little bit more than what you think you're doing. Like the proportions too wise, you got to think it like a fursuit is not everything is not in the exact same place all the time, if that makes sense. Your stomach might
Yeah,
be lower. Yeah, please don't. You shouldn't be touching strangers in the first place. That's a big thing. Like cosplay's not consent. Being a fursuit's not consent. I've had so many issues with that myself. There are pictures of my ass everywhere. Like not like that. I just mean like so I have a lot of cosplays that are very cheeky. For example, Juliet from Lollipop Chainsaw. Vaporeon. My Vaporeon is like more of a bodysuit, like a half bodysuit.
that one is that one is given. Okay, people are
Uh,
definitely gonna touch you on that one.
and then I have like Diva Bunny and like Lollipop Chainsaw Juliet has got like a mini skirt, so like I do have a little bit. And there's a line like when people will say they'll be like, "Oh, I like your butterfly tattoo." I'm fine with that, okay, because it's like, okay, that is a big tattoo on my fucking ass. Okay, I get that. That is very obvious. Okay, congratulations, you're telling me you like my ass. Like that's usually like the incentive there. What gets concerning is when they say, "Oh, I like your semicolon tattoo," because in the center of my butterfly is a semicolon tattoo, but it is super tiny, which means either you have taken a picture and zoomed in on my ass, or you are like staring so hard you have noticed this one little like that's, sir, you might need to go touch grass. If you notice
Yeah,
that, that's where it's like, okay, buddy, you staring a little bit too hard.
yeah. I had a construction worker tell the engineer. He's like, "Oh, hey, I like your belt buckle." And the engineer like looked at everybody around him. He's like, "What the fuck you staring at my belt buckle for?"
Oh
Like,
God.
I was like, "Damn, like, okay." I didn't know staring at a belt buckle made you gay.
Oh wow. Well, that reminds me of oh gosh, what is her name? There was a country singer, I can't think of her dang name. Jessie something. Jessie something. She had like a song that was about It says, I love the way he stands with a Roscoe in his waistband. And there was this entire debate. People thought that meant dick. She's talking about a gun. She's talking about him having. That's what what a Roscoe is she's talking about him having like a concealed carry, something in his pocket, like he's got his holster or whatever. But people thought it meant dick for some reason, and so it became a whole thing. And there was also people who thought it meant belt buckle. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, I understand not everybody knows slang words. I'm autistic. I have the same problem. But how the fuck did we get so many people who thought that meant dick? And, like, everybody's like, oh, your dick's supposed to go all the way up into your waistband now. And it's like, what the fuck is happening? What the fuck is happening on the internet?
I mean,
Ew.
isn't that's normal, right? I thought that was normal for mine. What do you mean it's
You're
not?
just walking around with your dick in the fucking, in your belt, right? Like, just 24/7. It's not down your pants leg. You're tucking it into your belt
Got
specifically.
got that shit holstered ready on
Right?
standby.
Right? That's what it like that's how it came across. People were thinking that. And I had to make a video, and several people had to make videos being like, no, no, she's talking about a gun. She's not talking about she's not talking about the squirt gun between your pants. She means like a literal like a pew pew. Oh my gosh. I like it. It's funny because I had even made a video where I was like making a joke. Because I teach domestic violence victims who have chosen to arm themselves that way. Once again, chosen, as I always tell people, that is not the proper self defense for everyone. There are some people that's going to be okay with, and some people that that's not the right choice for their self defense. But I take domestic violence victims once a month to the range and help them because I was in the army and everything. So I've helped them before, and I made a joke video, and I was like talking about the Roscoe, being like, yeah, the Roscoe in my waistband. And I had so many people who were like, but you don't have a dick. And I'm like, what do you mean I don't have a dick? What the fuck's a dick got to do with it? Like, what are we talking about? And that's when I discovered that all these people thought that's what the song meant, was just having a dick in your waistband. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
like, that's not what that is.
Hey,
I think it's interesting, like the internet slang, and it very much shows, like, depending on where you're at, what your interpretation is going to be. Because I feel like a lot of Southerners knew what that meant, but people who lived up north, not so much.
definitely the West Coast, probably.
Yeah, people were like, "What?" I'm like, technically I grew up in the well, I grew up a mixture because I was born in West Virginia, spent school year in West Virginia, but then Virginia is where I spent summers on the farm. So I know slang from both sides, and I have noticed that it depends culture wise too. That fandom culture, at least in cosplay, I'm not sure if this is like this in furry fandom, but in cosplay, depending on where you're going con wise, depending on the culture of it, like southern cons can be a little bit different than East Coast. I go to a lot of East Coast. I've only been to a couple of West Coast. Not a fan of West Coast cons. There's a lot of elitism there. That's where the like mean girl, you need to be canon 24/7. If you're carrying big props, you're not allowed to set them down because you need to be like photo ready at all times. Um Compared to like up north, there's also different because I've been to cons all over the country. It really is slightly different. Also, the panels you're going to see and the fandoms you're going to see are different depending on where you're at. I'm not sure if it's like that with furry fandom too.
Yeah. Generally, wherever you're more elite furries will figure out how to get to these cons, anyways. But if a lot of furries are coming to the southeast, we're not rich out here. We're kind of poor compared to the rest of the country. So,
Are you in
we're gonna have
Alabama? I'm sorry, it's just the
no.
way that you said that. I was like, is that. You were like, compared to the rest of the country, my mind immediately goes to Alabama. Because that's the only state that's
No.
ever been poorer than West Virginia. So, like,
So I like to think that a lot of southeast furries, we won't have for like full suits. We'll have either handmade suits. We'll have pre-mades that we bought. We'll have partial suits. We're in the southeast. It's humid. It's hot like all year round. So we're not gonna want to. Like I haven't gotten a full suit. And I've been in furry fandom for like 13 years
I
now.
will
So I'm
say,
like,
um, so going to cons all over, there's furries that go to regular cosplay conventions, and I will say I've noticed if I go to a convention up north where it's cooler, for example, the one that I'm going to next month, we don't have a furry convention in the state of West Virginia, so they'll have furries that'll come to the anime con. I've noticed they will be for full suited, but when I lived in the Florida Georgia line, right there, when I would go to cons either in Georgia or Florida, I would notice they were more of poodling or partial, whatever you want to call it, and doing that. And I think it's just the heat too, like the heat in general, like holy crap. Because it was cool enough, you're not gonna have a heat stroke in West Virginia. Honestly, you might freeze to death. It's really funny because the con that I'm going to, it gets super cold. I had to warn my best friend because she's from Florida. And I was like, hey, so I know we usually goes to like warmer cons, and if you come to Texas, you can go to a con in November and it's still like super hot. But West Virginia's cold. West Virginia's cold. It's gonna be nice during the day, and then you're gonna freeze your ass off at night. Make sure that's why I'm doing like the Vaporeon, because I can just add pants to it at night when it gets cold. I think that plays a big role into it too, because I've noticed at cons, like when it's in the South, people are not like fully suited up because it's like, well, they might have a heat stroke.
Yeah, and then poodling, you generally only need one person to put the suit on, and that's yourself. Full suit is a different game. You need like a NASCAR crew to put your shit back on, you know?
Like Transformer assembling over here.
Yeah, like, and that's one reason why I don't want to get a full suit, is because I don't have somebody to help me get in and out of it if I have to, I don't know, go use the restroom. I have to go ask a complete stranger to unzip
Hey, can
me.
you unzip me?
Yeah, unzip me, don't slap my ass, and watch my suit while I go take a piss.
Those- That's a fucking mood. Um,
So it's like
go-
not everybody can have the luxury. And I know there are some people who full suit without needing a handler, and that's cool because some fursuit makers are putting the zipper in the front instead of the back. And that should have been given.
yeah, and that's where we were concerned about the mersuiting thing, is because we had like came across an online, she came across this Reddit group that was like, oh, that's a way that they will tell who's doing what. Because they'll have a zipper in the front, and she's like, I want a zipper in the front just so I don't pee my, like that way it'd be easier, like a zipper down at the bottom. But then
Yeah,
was worried about people taking that, especially because she's a minor. Because I swear, I'm gonna have to have a sign on me that says she's a minor and I'm a veteran PTSD that will go to jail. Like for like a handler sign. Because like unfortunately there are too many people encountered. If you're in cosplay or if you're in a fursuit or something, and people are having issues just knowing ages instead of asking. Like I've had way too many grown adults, especially like I have parents who were nerds, so like I grew up in fandom space, and I had the issues with that. Like if I did like Misa Misa, because Death Note was popular at the time when I was a kid, I'd have grown adults who would be like, "Oh, I couldn't tell in cosplay." It's like, maybe you should have asked. You know, I that's another thing that I think gets stereotypes. There's a lot of people that stereotyped furries for a while there. In my hometown, because of a furry related, well, it was not furries, but it was a furry that ran it panel. So if you're going to a convention, I highly recommend to not judge based off of like a panel that is run by a furry, because that could be just that furry's interest rather than the entire fandom. Because like I said, there are furries that'll go to cons, but they're not as common as cosplayers at a cosplay convention, which makes sense because it's a cosplay convention. We had a panel in West Virginia called Plushie Porn. Don't recommend Googling that. Don't recommend Googling that. I actually, so this was back when like you'd go to a hotel and it'd have like a Windows Vista big box computer in the room, and that was like considered fancy, like MySpace days.
yeah.
We had went to this con in Huntington, West Virginia, Sabas Con. We were talking we were like, what's this plushy? Like we saw this furry was doing. It was like the only furry at the entire convention, and they were running this panel, and it was called Plushie Porn. And we were like, what's this? And we were trying to sneak into it because we were just curious teenagers. And one of these guys was like, I'll let you go to it, but you have to promise me you'll go search what it is first. And we go back, and I swear I thought the FBI was going to break through my fucking door at the hotel, because we go on the hotel's little computer, we search it, and immediately see a Care Bear with a strap on it, and I'm like, oh, that's not what I thought that was at all. And there was a lot of people who were upset about that panel, and that was like their first introduction to furries, was that panel being ran by somebody in a full fursuit. So that's another thing is I tell people, I'm like, make sure you're not basing stuff off of the entire fan, like one interaction. Don't have like one interaction with somebody in a fandom and assume that the entire fandom's like that.
Oh, so you don't want to know about the balloon party then?
The what party?
The balloon parties.
Okay, we got to get into this because I did put down that we were supposed to tell at least one or two fandom stories. I need to hear this now. Need to hear this now. I don't know what it is.
I don't.
I don't even
I don't
smoke,
know
but I'm
much
about to go
about
take.
it.
I'm about to go buy some cigarettes because I feel like I'm gonna need it for this. He said, "I don't even. Where's the Marlboro
I
Lights?"
don't. I don't know really like the full thing behind it. So I guess I'm just adding to the what do we call it? Myths. But there are cons that have like
Sorry.
I don't know how to explain it, but people are definitely are attracted to balloon toys and like inner tubes and stuff like that.
Oh, there was an
Inflatable.
episode of True Life on that. And that's one of those ones where I didn't want to judge because once again, I saw how they did furries and made them seem like, horrible. But there was a guy there's an episode where he is attracted to inflatables. There's a word for it, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna look like the most unprofessional person because I work in psych. But I cannot remember the word for it. There's a condition that related to that. With the hyperfixation or the sexualization of inanimate objects. So did somebody
Yeah,
just
I
bring
don't
a
know what it
bunch
is.
to a
I
con?
Yeah, it's just they'll have like an entire room full of like inflatable toys. Like hopefully none that you fuck, because I mean this is a public space area, so like, but it's furries definitely like it. I mean, I guess I mean I have a OnlyFans inner tube and blown up in my damn apartment, but I don't fuck that.
An OnlyFans inner tube. Hold on, I gotta Google what that is because now
Yeah,
I'm curious. My brain is not computing what
you
that
know,
is.
like okay, so the donut tube that you put in the pool and you kind of like relax on.
Oh, I didn't know that was an option. I feel offended because I do dominatrix work on OnlyFans and I've never seen no damn OnlyFans inner tube. Now I'm curious.
I think it's I think it's new. I think it was like $45.
I am too cheap for that. I have a giant purple gummy bear inflatable for my pool in my backyard, and it like fits two people and has cup holders, and I paid $12 for that thing. I don't like OnlyFans enough for that,
Hell yeah.
especially because OnlyFans is very kink shamey lately with every update. So like I literally have to have people if they're I'll be like, oh, if you sub to OnlyFans, add me on Snap. Here's my Snap for it because they've gotten to the point where they're like, oh, you can't type certain words, and I'm like, what? Why can I not type? These aren't like it's not like murdering people or something. You can't. It's not like oh, don't say something crazy. There's a lot of like kinks that you can't type out in messages now. It's kind of dumb. It's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
I will admit.
Like, I'll tell people I'm like, yeah, I can't upload this video because I don't have written consent from the other partner. And then I'll try to reference like X, Fansly, or anything like that. And then like, but OnlyFans is like, oh, you can't say that. I'm like, oh, I can't mention like other social media platforms.
Oh yeah, they will not.
I'm
So
like, well,
like
that sucks.
I tried switching to Fansly, but I'm like struggling with learning the platform. I also don't have like an X or anything. Like I know I'm like the worst person because that's like you're supposed to be your main form of advertising is X and things because I don't talk about it a lot on TikTok, because that's a whole separate thing. But like I have tried to like when I would try to message people, I'd be like, hey, if you've bought OnlyFans, I will give you Fansly for free to like try to transition people over there, and they do not like that on OnlyFans. They're like, fuck no. And I think it's because they know their platform is starting to die out because there's other sites and stuff that are a lot more friendly to kink stuff and fetishes and whatnot. So people are starting to transition. So they're like, oh, we got to make sure you don't tell customers to go somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's I switched from Fansly to OnlyFans because I guess they were
considering furries a part of the zoophilia, but they're like, no, no, no. Fans, they had to make like an update saying like, no, they're not a part of the zoophilia. We just don't want zoophilia content on our platform. Furries are safe, pups are safe. It's just that you cannot
Yes.
do that stuff.
My friend that is a pup that I was talking about, they had a problem with that, with being like the zoophilia, and that's another stereotype that I know a lot of furries face is the oh, they're fucking animals. I will say just a real quick, furries are not people that fuck animals, but I also want to say just a quick reminder that I've told everybody a million times. Bad Dragon, do not fucking go to them, because they are zoophiles. The owner has been caught, several times, and that's not like a rumor, there's proof. He paid so much money to try to get that taken down, like the PR, but you could still find it. Be careful when you find it. But yeah, just a reminder, because that's a stereotype that like a lot of people face, not just like furries, but pups, people within the kink space, where like, oh, if you're getting a Bad Dragon style toy, you must be like that. And it's like, no, no, that is not the case. And it's a lot of it's caused by the owner of Bad Dragon had got busted for having that site telling people how to fuck animals. So reminder that not people that are in these fandom spaces do not fuck animals. Zoophiles are a whole nother thing. That is not the same thing. I swear. I apologize if
And
you
plus,
didn't already know that, and I just like, oh yeah, that's another overpriced. So the people that listen know this, but you might have not seen this. I actually at one point almost got a I got threatened with a cease and desist by Bad Dragon, but it did not work because everything I said I had documentation proof of. So they were like, yeah, you can't do that if they're telling the truth. Like, it's not slander if it's the truth. Like, because they set up at certain conventions at the 18 plus areas, and there was a point, especially if you're in Orlando. So this place does not sponsor me, but I should be sponsored at this point, okay, for the store, the mega store. It's near Orlando. It's a 3-story adult store. It's super kink friendly. It has like all kinds of stuff. I love shopping there. They have those kinds of toys by 2 different brands. Uber Prime is the one they originally used, super ethical local company. And when they set up at this con in Orlando, they had you had to wait outside of the line, show your ID, right? Because it was like a blocked off booth because it's in the vendor hall. That way nobody under the age of 18. I would literally, when security was not standing there to ID people, security would go inside, I would run up to the line, and I had a little note on my app that was like, on my phone that said like, hey, Google them. They're super unethical, but also overpriced. You can go 10 minutes down the road and get this for a third of the cost, and it's the exact same thing. And I was like going to people in line showing them this, letting people know. Because it's true. Like, for example, if you're just a basic one, not to TMI people, but if you were to buy like a 6-inch tentacle or something, it would be like $600 with Bad Dragon. If you go to like Uber Prime or something, it's going to be like $100. And it's made with body safe silica, made all the same way. It's not, being sold by somebody who fucks animals. So just ethics
like,
and money.
I bought a varsity jacket at a con last year from Bad Dragon, and it was like $140. And I kid you not, I could probably make that same exact jacket. Like that's how poorly made it is. OnlyFans has a varsity jacket. It was $45, and it's a hell of a lot high quality than the damn Bad Dragon.
I think
And then
the
my
main
Playboy,
reason people associate everything with Bad Dragon was just because they were the first big name, even though there's a lot of
yeah,
companies that make the stuff now ethically and stuff, but because they were the first big name, they take it as, okay, we can charge whatever the fuck we want.
yeah, it and that is like a bad business model. Like
It really is. And it sucks
you can
because
have
that's the name
high grade
associated
stuff.
with it. Like
Yeah,
any fantasy toy, that's the name associated with it. Sadly. And that is, people think, oh, Bad Dragon when they first think it. It's like, no. Please no.
yeah. I've got a few toys. People are like, "Oh, gee, is that from Bad Dragon?" I'm like, "No, it's actually from Primal Hardware."
Yeah, there's tons of ethical companies out there now, like compared to what used to. I also want to say, speaking of companies, if you want rave wear, there is a furry. Oh God, and I've lost the fucking train of thought of his name now. There's a furry that sets up at a lot of conventions and does like fursuiting stuff, but they also do rave wear, and I've noticed there's several that do that. Several
Oh,
like
I think I know who you're talking.
it's like Paws or
They just
something.
opened a store. They just opened up a physical store.
They're in they're in. I think they're in Florida. Yeah, they're in Florida, I believe. Hold on, I'm gonna go crazy. Paul Star. That's what it is. Paul Star is who I'm thinking
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, they opened a physical store, which I'm pretty sure is gonna get forged because
It's Florida.
the South. It's the South. People are anti-gay out here.
Oh yeah, I have an entire story time where somebody thought that I was a drag queen, because I had mask, and it was like when I'd first cut my hair, because I'd grow it out, donate it, cut it again, grow it out, donate, do that process, and it was like shortly after I cut my hair, and I was done up for an event, and we were done up for an event at Universal. I leave Universal, and I'd taken my wig off, so it looked like I was just like a random cis dude in drag, and I almost got hate crimes. We had to leave the 7-Eleven because I was told I was going to be shot for being a faggot. And I was like, oh, thanks. That's lovely. Like, my best friend and me were like rolling the fuck out. We were like, oh, okay, never mind. We'll go somewhere else. And that's just a prime example of like, it really. So that's the nice thing about con space is, but something also you do have to think about when you're going to conventions is con space is typically very friendly for LGBTQ and stuff. It's usually pretty open and accepting of that. But sometimes the town that you're in with the con space, not so much. So it is important to like keep safety in mind when you're going to these things. It sucks to have to like completely get out of cosplay, but there are times where I've completely got out. There was another time I went as Mr. Compress. I do a lot of male characters, and I had long hair though, and somebody had once again thought that I was a drag queen, and it was like a whole issue, people being rude. But then also some people are super sweet. When I did Mr. Compress in Orlando, there is a magician that is in Kursama, whatever that town is that starts with a K beside Orlando. And we had went to take pictures outside of his building that says like magician, because Mr. Compress is a magician. So I was like, oh, we'll take pictures outside of it. He sees us doing this and invites us in, teaches us how to do magic tricks. Like he taught me to do a few different magic tricks for the con, and also let me take pictures with like all of his props. Super sweet guy. But you also have to worry about the other side. So it's like, you can encounter both. Safety is important to keep in mind when you're traveling for cons. You are in a new area that you might not be familiar with. And while the con might be super safe and accepting, out in town might not be.
Yeah. What was it? Nashville Pride, Tennessee, 2024 last year, right? So, they have an entire area sanctioned off for Pride. Well, part of me, my friends they were going to an ice cream shop in downtown Nashville, outside of the Pride area, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll meet you guys over there. So I'm strutting my fine twink ass downtown Nashville in platforms, thigh highs, a booty shorts, and a crop top with my fursuit head on. And no phone, no wallet. I'm just strutting my ass for like 5 blocks. I'm like, man, I was fucking scared for my life, but I was like, man, this is empowering. I'm pretty sure. Like I came across some women. I was like, I put on the gay voice. I was like, do y'all know where the ice cream store is? Like, is it the one by the shopping center? I'm like, yeah, I think so. And they're like, oh, it's that way. I'm like, thank you.
I've done that before, like when my hair is short and I'm binding and everything. Especially being intersex, like I have some more masculine features. Like Lord, I learned the hard way the other day on TikTok. Don't post your hands on TikTok. People get weird. People get weird. Yeah, I was literally just like, why the hell is the rest of my hand masculine? And then my nail, like my hand was like testosterone, and then my nails were like estrogen. So I was like, it was basically like me mocking biology, and it turned into people getting really weird. I got some very unique comments, very unique messages from women, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna take this down. This is awkward.
Girl,
this got weird.
Girl, when you gonna post the feet version?
Right? Have them dogs out. I no longer have a hole in my foot, so maybe. When I was in the army, I stepped on a nail and I had a hole in my foot for like 6 years. It's finally healed, But it used to be a joke because like it went through my boot and everything. So like I had like a legitimate hole in my foot. I went through like this whole process of getting rid of it. But I used to joke. I was like, no, because I'm afraid some of these foot fetish people are gonna try to like fuck the hole in my foot. Gotta make sure my feet are always covered in videos. But yeah, we learned that the hard way. Please don't make sure you're anybody make sure you're prepared for thirst trap comments if you're gonna post your hands, even if it's not supposed to be a thirst trap. But yeah, I've had people where I will like be walking and it's later in the evening, and because of the way I'm dressed and because of certain feature, and I don't have any makeup on or anything, and I'll have short hair, I'll be walking through and I'll have women who will look like they're like kind of speeding up, like they're afraid of me. And so I will like just go full, probably sound like a twink. I'll be like, oh my God. Trying to be.
Oh, calm down. I'm trying to talk to you.
All right. Just like the most feminine as possible. Okay, let me check the notes, see if there's anything we missed. We covered 20. Oh my gosh, the dang notes that keep closing on me. We debunk things, tips, dealing with plobs and furry fandom, mistakes for beginners, any advice? Okay, is there any other advice you want to share before we end the podcast?
Just I understand good people do bad things every now and again. Some people don't mean to do things like, I guess, I don't know. When I was a correctional officer, for like a few months, we
I'm
were
sure you've
trained
got
to-
some stories because I've got some friends who are COs.
No, I don't have any stories really, but I believe people can change. I believe people could be better. There are some things that you can't be unforgiven for, but I do believe people can be good, and let people have a chance to kind of redeem themselves. You know, it's not like an overnight thing, and it's not going to take months. It might take a couple years. Just don't let the past dictate not only your appearance in the fandom, but don't let the past like dictate somebody else's presence. If somebody's actively trying to be better and doing better, then I think that's a good start. You know, just I just think that depending on what you did, of course, you know,
Yeah.
but some people can be redeemed. I believe that if you look for the good in the people, I think that'll be a good thing in the fandom, because right now everybody in any fandom is just trying to get the next big viral post, the next big viral news media. I'm like, you're not a news anchor. You're just a person online. You're not a wannabe news article or whatever. Don't spread drama. Don't actively try to target people.
Yeah,
because
that is a big problem in gaming and fandom space too that we see, like in cosplay war. Like I said, there's people who have tried to take out competition by slander, by making up using bigger platforms against people. Like there was one guy I had, he literally was on video going, yeah, I have no idea who this person is on live, and the right after posting a video making up lies and being like, oh yeah, they're a horrible person, and then when he was on live he was like, oh well, I said their name wrong because I had no idea who they are. And it's like, wow, let's maybe not do that. Don't believe everything you see online too. That's another thing. Please for the love of God, please fact check stuff, because I've seen people, like I said, just the stereotypes, the negative stereotypes, the having to debunk the myths and stuff because of something somebody saw online.
Yeah, and I've always been a firm believer. Just because I didn't get along with that person doesn't mean that you won't be able to.
Exactly.
And my interactions with people could be different. You know, some people don't like me. Some people love me. Some people just have like a what the fuck kind of thing going on. So it's like some people just don't click with others. So
Exactly.
don't let that affect you.
Yeah, I've seen way too many cases of people who will be like, "Oh, well, I'm not friends with this person anymore, so you can't be friends with this person." And I understand if it's a situation, for example, I had a friend who was assaulted, and I understand not being friends with the person who assaulted her. Like that's a big thing. But if it's just like, oh, I don't get along with this person, I would never expect somebody to, like, I wouldn't post and be like, oh, I don't get along with this user anymore, so everybody go and follow them, you know?
Yeah. Usually, if somebody comes in my chat saying like, "Oh, you follow this person? They're so toxic, yada yada yada," I'm like, "Okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know. I'm gonna keep following them, but I'm gonna block you now."
Exactly. That is one thing I've talked about on here before is warning people. If somebody, one thing to look out for is with bullying and avoiding stuff like that and avoiding toxic people and drama is if you're like out of nowhere getting a message, oh my gosh, I hate this person, they did horrible stuff, why are you following them? Or I saw you interacting with this person, and it's like your first interaction with somebody or your first few interactions, and they're immediately shit talking that person. About a good 70% of the time, the problem is looking at you, not the person they're talking about. I've learned.
Yep.
So just be careful if you're seeing somebody that's like immediately like, oh, I've never had an interaction with this person before, but their first thing out of their mouth is to shit talk somebody. Run. Run. Like I said, look out for the bullying stuff too, with the like saying this community is small. Because there's a lot of that of like it's to make people feel like, oh, if you don't make it here, you can't make it anywhere, that kind of stuff. There's space online for everybody. Um, don't let anybody like don't feel like, oh, if I didn't make it in this space, like I can't with these 5 people, you know, I'm not gonna. Don't let it ruin your passion, your hobbies, your interests. Don't let the internet in general, in fandom space in general, ruin your experiences.
Yep.
Okay, I am gonna go ahead and end the recording now. Oh, my mouse? Oh, there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and end the recording, and I will have their tags in my in the bio of this for anybody who wants to look them up, and also the people that I mentioned earlier with the shops that I couldn't remember the name. I will put those in there too.